I've searched for many years, I've traveled far and wide to quench a restless thirst and hunger deep inside. The secret of the ages, written of by fools and sages, crept into my heart and would not be denied. Love, love, let the love begin. Love is the secret place within. So humble that I see, oh what a wondrous find. The secret place inside, one heart, one soul, one mind. Found me in my childlike wonder, woke in me like rolling thunder. Sometimes it's the simplest things that seem so hard to find. Love, love, let the love begin. Love is the secret place within. And oh, the many years it took to heed this call. What seemed a fortress then's now just a garden wall. Storms of indecision ceasing, tears of joy instead releasing. I have learned the secret is no secret after all. Love, love, let the love begin. Love is the secret place within. Love is the answer to all things great and small. Now I know the secret is no secret after all. I have learned the secret is no secret after all. Good morning, everyone. It's so good to be back with you. It's so good to be here, just to be here, just to be here. The secret place within that was talked about in the reading, talk about in the song, is that thing, that very, very thing that we know in this teaching is the power beyond everything, the power for good in the universe that we can use. The most powerful force in the universe is love. And where does love, you know the answer to this question already, where does the love fit into when we're talking about conflict resolution, negotiating peace, creating transformation in our own lives and in the world? Well, that would be the talk right there. Simple and done. We go to love, we go to love, we go to love, we go to love. End of story, right? But we're human. We are human. Definitely human, and we have so many things in our consciousness as individualized expressions of that one. We have all of our experiences and all of our filters and all of our conditioning and all of the stuff that we bring in, our beautiful, unique, messy perspective of everything, every moment in our lives, and the collective consciousness of which we are a part. So in negotiating peace, there's a few parts to this, and peace, as a siren goes by my house at the moment, I don't know if you can hear it, We just know we bless, we surround it as we always do. Martin Luther King had two perspectives, two definitions of peace. We think there's one encompassing thing. It just means good, joyous, we're not upset by anything. We're not out of our, I'll say we're not out of our comfort zone. But there are two kinds of peace that he defines. One is the negative peace. One is exactly that. Negative peace meaning we're not really resolving anything. We're basically just kind of maybe calling a truce, but nothing has been resolved. We're not moving forward. We're not obtaining true peace. Negative peace is that place where perhaps we go into people pleasing or denial, or I don't want to rock the boat, so I'm not going to say anything. But nothing gets resolved. There's that undercurrent of negative emotion, of resentment, and maybe anger, agitation, maybe gets turned into a little bit of depression, or why should I bother? Despair. So it's not a change-making kind of peace. The positive peace that he talks about is messy. It is getting into calling out injustice, standing up, speaking our truth, being who we are, standing in the power of who we are. It is being proactive and consciously engaged with an intention for the highest good for everyone involved in a situation. That is our mantra in the science of mind, creating a world that works for everyone. And creating a world that works for everyone involves both the negative and the positive parts of peace. I dislike using the word negative, but it's to make the point. You get it. Because the part that we do, where we do back off, where we do go into spiritual mind treatment, where we go into our consciousness to say, what's going on in here? What is it in me that is engaging with or exacerbating or increasing the dis-ease or the non-peaceful situation that's going on here, the conflict? That's a part of this whole thing, is our personal responsibility. Personal responsibility to, number one, know who we are, know what we believe in. Because as we know in this, and this is intertwined with inner and outer peace, the inner peace is working with self-awareness, working with our consciousness, letting peace begin with me, that thing that we sing every week. What a prophetic and powerful song that was, now more than almost 70 years ago. That song, Let There Be Peace on Earth, was a direct address to this very thing. We know in consciousness it must begin with us. And all our business outside of us trying to control or sway or do whatever to make other people see our point of view, that is not positive peace. That's control and manipulation and fear. So our personal responsibility, Ernest Holmes talks about this. I'm going to go back to the relatedness, quote from Dr. Martin Luther King, where he says, I am cognizant of the interrelatedness of all communities and states. I cannot sit idly by in Atlanta and not be concerned about what happens in Birmingham. And we hear this quote often, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. The way that Ernest Holmes talks about peace, and this comes from Richer Living, deep within each of us there is a place of calm, of peace and security, where trouble and accidents do not occur, where truth and love reign supreme and good is the only power. It is to this place that daily we go in the silence of our own minds to commune with the spirit that is both around us and within us. So our personal responsibility to peace, inward, outward, goes beyond our own self-awareness. It is about taking the action. It is about moving out of our comfort zone and sometimes out of that peaceful, gentle, wonderful place known as our meditation cushion to actually stand up and speak that truth. And it is uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable to stand up for what we believe in. It is uncomfortable to stand up to call out injustice. We have to move beyond the fear of retaliation, retribution, cruelty, name calling, all the things that all possibilities that can come back. And we are seeing that in spades right now in this world. We are seeing the effects of intentional unpeacemaking. A long pattern of intentional unpeacemaking. I just made up that word, by the way. It's not something in the lexicon right now, but it's kind of like being undead or unalived. Everything is and even that is a shift, where we come at it jokingly to lessen, and we use that often, a coping mechanism of humor. Necessary, absolutely necessary, to look at sometimes the absurdity, the disbelief, and I speak from myself personally, the disbelief I have sometimes at seems so absurd. And I know all of you in this practice know that we focus on what's good for all, and to see so many things intentionally being laid in front of us in order to keep us from seeing that we are one. I have my moments. I have my real moments where I am not peaceful inside about what's going on in the world. Not at all. And I go to despair, and I go to anger, and I go to wanting retribution, and I go to revenge, and I go to all of those human places within me because I feel like I don't have control. And that's what this is about. When Ernest Holmes says, deep within us, each of us, there is the place of calm, of peace and security, where trouble and accidents do not occur, where truth and love reign supreme and good is the only power. It is to this place that we daily go, into the silence of our own minds, to commune with the spirit that is both around us and within us. That is our work. That is the most important work that we can be doing right now, to negotiate peace. And while we might not be sitting at the table at the UN, we are negotiating peace. Our work is to negotiate peace within our families, within our places of employment, within our communities. Negotiating peace means doing everything we can to stay grounded and centered in that place where truth and love reign supreme, and good is the only power. That's our personal responsibility. And the thing is, when we find ourselves at odds with someone, this is a question I ask myself often. Am I willing to risk ruining a relationship in order to be right? We know that there is a huge divide about what is right and who is whatever, and I don't need to go into that, of course. But what is my focus? That's the question that I always have. Do I want to contribute more to the dis-ease, to the disruption, to the chaos, or do I want to find that centered place where I know that when I am centered, the creative ideas, the creative solutions, the intuitive things come in that say, oh, there is a way through this, a more peaceful way through this. It takes a lot of work. We know that this practice is not easy. It is not a quick one and done fix to become enlightened. Otherwise, we wouldn't be on this planet for as long as we tend to live. That's my belief. We wouldn't be here. We would have the lifespan of a fly, perhaps, a couple of days tops. If we had that level of consciousness, it just said, everything's cool. But this is the experience. This is the God expressing through each one of us as an individualized experience of itself. And sometimes even that concept is a little unsettling. Especially when I look outside myself and I see what's going on in the world. I say, well, how can that person be an expression of God? Well, they are. They are. And my work in the world is to remind myself, and then to the best of my ability, remind others, anyone that I encounter, that peace is possible, that love is at the core of all of it, and all of the disruption, all of the chaos, all of the everything is an opportunity to recognize the places in ourselves where we are not at peace with ourselves, where we don't have absolute unconditional love for the beings that we are as divine expressions of God. The question that comes up in working through our own stuff, our own disease and our own unpeace inside. You've probably heard the phrase before, are you willing to die on that hill? That's a phrase about, wanting to stand so solidly in your, by God, I'm right and everybody else is wrong. Are you willing to die on that hill? And that can go both ways. We can get so engaged in something so very tiny and very petty and lose sight of the bigger picture. The hill that maybe we are meant to stand on, to dedicate our lives to, for the justice and the equity and the good of all, the good for all. Part of what we do in this is look at the common word that gets tossed around so much these days is triggers. What triggers us? Is the presenting problem the actual problem, or what's underneath it? And it's usually 99.9% of the time it's what's underneath it. It's just this particular incident has given me the opportunity to heal, to grow through, to release, to forgive, to make amends, to do whatever it is, to take that burden that I've been carrying mostly unnecessarily, to again free myself up to a consciousness of knowing that when I am calm and centered and in peace and in love, the divine ideas come through. The creative ideas are incredible. The solutions, all of those things. It's that place of we are open, we're not focusing on the problem. We are turning entirely away from the condition. We acknowledge it, but we don't focus on it. Oops, hello. We don't focus on it. We focus on what would I love in the situation? How would I love to see this resolved? Would I rather be happy or right? One of the things that we do with this is the thing called creating and maintaining healthy boundaries. What do healthy boundaries look like? Saying what we mean, meaning what we say, being impeccable with our word. Not gossiping, not contributing to the noise and the echo chamber that is social media. The thing about gossip is, and I learned this a long time ago and it stuck. And someone said, if someone else is talking to you about someone else, they're talking about you to someone else as well. I think I got that right. If someone is gossiping to me about someone else, I know that they're gossiping about me to someone else. So I make sure, absolutely, that I turn that person in the right direction. And if there's a question that says, did you know so-and-so, or do you think so-and-so did what this, and I will say, did you ask them? Have you had a conversation with them directly? That usually ends the conversation, much to my relief. But that is the internalized peace thing. When we get, and so many of us were conditioned to get in other people's business. Man, sometimes it feels so good to get in other people's business because we can point out everything that's wrong with them and not what's wrong with us, or what we think is wrong with us. So, say what you mean what you say. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take things personally. Don't make assumptions. Do your best. If those are familiar to you, they should be. It is the 4 agreements of Don Miguel Ruiz. Don't take anything personally. As I said in the beginning of this, we come in and we get so much conditioning and our filters and our perceptions and our experiences and everything. We bring it all. We bring it all. And when something doesn't line up with it, our tendency is to want to make it everybody else's fault. But it's not. It's just conditioning. And we have that beautiful thing called free will that says, this isn't pleasant to experience anymore. I want to change it. I want to change it. And it takes work. It takes work. Another part of our personal responsibility in negotiating peace, resolving conflict, there is great, great power in apologies and making amends. We don't hear people apologizing very much these days. Lots of blame, pointing fingers, not taking responsibility for our actions. And again, it takes tremendous courage, tremendous integrity, and tremendous self-awareness to own, to be responsible for our actions. We're going to make mistakes. We are human. We're going to make mistakes in everything that we do if we are growing and we are evolving. If we are perfectionists, as I am recovering from being one of them, we recognize that keeping ourselves in a position of I must do everything right in order to not hurt anybody or make mistakes doesn't work. It just doesn't work, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting for the perfectionist and it's exhausting for people around them. I have learned this. So apologies and amends, and there's a distinction. They go together, but an apology is when you speak the word. You say, I am so sorry for this mistake, blah, 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 blah. The amends is when you change the behavior, when you take an action to right the wrong, to bring balance back, to bring peace back to the situation. In our teaching, of course, it is all about consciousness. It is all about self-awareness. It is all that whole thing. When we change our thinking, we change our lives. And there's a step in between that. When we change our thinking, we change our behavior. And when our behavior changes, we change our lives. Because it's action-oriented. It isn't just about thinking peace. It is taking the steps to create it within ourselves and then with the world around us. As I said, this work is not easy. It's not quick. There's no one and done. It's a lifelong journey. And we know this. We can negotiate peace. It must begin within us first. We can create resolution in conflict. And when we do this with loving intention, with mutual respect, with compassion and empathy, when we maintain healthy boundaries, when we say, I'm not a doormat, but I'm also not a bulldozer. Here's what's okay with me, here's what's not okay with me. People will walk away, and some people will absolutely respect you, more often than not. When we do these things, when we speak our truth, but we also allow others to speak theirs, we will move mountains. We can move mountains in the personal relationships, in our communities, and everywhere, of every area of our lives and in the world. In these times, as I said, we are being called more loudly than ever to stand up and speak what we believe in. Justice, equity, kindness, compassion, collaboration, mutual respect. If we don't do it, we are living in negative peace. It's messy, it's uncomfortable, and all growth is. Period. And then we practice and we grow and it becomes more comfortable and then it becomes second nature. We are being called to hold accountable and not give up faith that divine justice will always prevail. That those who are intentionally causing harm in order to gain some sense of control and false power are really just hurting. They don't know it, but we see it. When there is that sense of separation, it spreads like a cancer if it's not addressed. As I was reviewing some things this morning, this phrase came in, and I'm still pulling it apart, but I'm going to share it with you because it dropped in so very clearly. And what I said in my journal is, I do my work daily around this. If I believe that love is the only answer, then I must practice loving those whose sickness is the belief that they must power over and control in order to be worthy of love. I do not have to tolerate the horrid, cruel, and illegal behavior. And what dropped in and is still just takes my breath away. I must love them into humility and spiritual awakening to know that they are loved. I don't know what that looks like yet. But that phrase, I must love them into humility and acceptance that they are loved, despite their horrid, cruel behavior. I know that I know the pushback that I would get and will get for saying that publicly. That behavior is unforgivable. But when I think about the master teachers, they did not put conditions around their love. All of our mystical spiritual teachers did not put conditions around love. Those mystics who walk among us today do not put conditions around love. And it's hard. It's hard to say that, because I do. But I work at it daily. As Martin Luther King said, nonviolence is an absolute commitment to the way of love. Love is not emotional bash. It is not empty sentimentalism. It is the active outpouring of one's whole being into the being of another. That is oneness, in my opinion. And not just the love that we give to a beloved, but the love that we give to everyone. When we do our best, when we practice, when we dedicate our lives to making sure we're not doing the same things and expecting different results, miraculous things can happen. Mountains can be moved, peace can truly be negotiated, conflicts resolved, and lives transformed. Let's take that into prayer. What I know, absolutely know in this moment, and I affirm, is that there is only that one thing happening, and that one thing is God. That God is expressing in and through and as each of us, in all of our forms, in all of our peacefulness, in all of our chaotic behaviors. And what I know and affirm for myself and for all is that the power of love is it. And when we anchor that, and I affirm that we do this, that we anchor in that daily, that is our daily practice, even if that is the only word that we use in the prayer, and to repeat, love, 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 I am loved, I love, I am loving. Until we get it, until it reawakens within us. I know this is reawakening now, and I know it not just for this service, but the people listening to it, but I know it for everyone on this planet. That there is, I affirm absolutely that there is a reawakening of that. I see it, I feel it daily. I am encouraged and uplifted by it. And I affirm my faith in it for myself and for all. That when we do the best we can, and we are doing the best we can at a level of conscious awareness that says love as at the heart of this, God is the only thing happening. And when we know and affirm, and I know and affirm, that everyone is doing their best, mountains are moved. Peace is negotiated, conflicts are resolved, and lives are transformed. And because I feel this deeply and know this to be so, I can release these words into that law that knows only yes. And with that, we can let it go and let it be. And affirm by saying, and so it is. So it is. I'm doing the best that I can. The best that I can. With what I've got. When I remember God is my source. What I've got is more than enough. I'm doing the best that I can. The best that I can. With who I am. And I remember God is my source. Who I am is more than enough. When I'm aware that you care enough to do the same, that is where, oh, that is where we let go of all that useless blame. When I'm aware that you care enough to do the same, that is where, oh, that is where we let go of all that useless blame. We're doing the best that we can, and we're doing it with love. We remember that God is our source, and that's always more than enough. Yes, that's always always more than enough. Yes, that's all